Alright guys, so this video is solely going to be dedicated to the Singleback Bunch. I'm going to knock it all out in one video because there's only a few plays I like from here. And we'll just, finish up, and then the next video will be kind of a wrap up with how the scheme is run in a game, right? So I set my audibles to this, and we are setting a lot of audibles. I want to make that very clear. I understand that we are setting a lot of audibles. We're going to talk about in the next video how we're actually going to be able to get all these audibles in, because you can't do it all at once. It's just completely impossible. The first audible I like to set is the mesh goal line, because there's actually a slant out in this play along with a trail route. I don't like the zone weak as much as I like the inside zone split. It's weird. The blocking is a little bit better from the zone split, and you can also run the zone split like a counter. So I'm going to set the zone split there. And then these two audibles I'm going to leave the same. Verticals is always good. Really great play to beat zone coverage. And then PA boot does a phenomenal job against beating zone coverage deep, right? So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to come out in... because I never really come out in this formation, so we're going to come out in just the run first and talk about the run. And what kind of defense should I come out in? Let's just come out in Overstorm, just like everybody typically does. I know it's getting a little bit boring seeing Overstorm over and over again, but that's what you're going to see online, right? So the inside zone split will have this tight end cut across the formation. And for whatever reason, that blocking just sets up a lot better. You can kind of run this like a counter too. So like if they're not blitzing like that, say that it's just a base defense, kind of cut that back. Now, of course, the defensive tackle one to the outside on that, but it's very easy with change of direction in this game. I think that's one of the things they got right, is the change of direction is a lot of fun to use on some of these runs. I can cut this back like a counter. Now, this is obviously not the look you want to run it against, because there's this overhang defender this is going to be there's not a numbers advantage here, so you want to keep that in mind. But if there was a numbers advantage, let's just simulate something here. Just move this over, we'll do that, right? If there was a numbers advantage, a lot of times you can cut this back. I did a terrible job. I didn't trust it. So you got to trust the block. You got to trust the block. But the tight end will come across the formation and pick up this free defender, who's the defensive end. And then, I could have cut this all the way to the left, right? So you can run it like a counter. So that's awesome. These passing plays, the one that beats man coverage the most consistently is Z-Mesh goal line. However, they're all extremely short routes. And they run into each other a lot, and we're going to utilize this type of motion a lot. So I just put this guy on a streak, let him snap, and this slant out. Even against press man, we'll still win. If you have all these guys bunched in together and they're pressed, it gets a little bit crazy. It's a lot harder to read who's going to come off their their press correctly. Look at that. Look at this. Eventually he got wide open, but it's just a mess in there. So I'd like to motion that guy out of the way. Now this can be zone coverage too, but just like it says in the name of the play, it's also very good on the goal line. A lot of quick hitting short routes that really get in between zones. So keep that in mind. That's also a nice play, but like kind of inside the 5-yard line. Now, verticals and the PA boot, right? Now I mentioned just a second ago that we're going to use this motion. Now this is a cover 3. If it wasn't a cover 3 and it ended up being, say it was cover 1, which it probably won't end up being that look, because you have this defender over in the left flat. But just say, we don't know if it's cover 3 or if it's man. You can run, actually slants don't work unless you have the short outside elite, or whatever the hell the thing is called. I get confused with all the abilities. You really want to run a drag, because if you think you can run that slant and beat man coverage every time, it's not going to happen. You're going to end up getting picked off. So I do like the drag a little bit better. So this is probably the safest way to set this play up. But this is cover 3. You'll notice that outside cloud flat stops, doesn't pull all the way to the sideline, so you can throw that wheel route. So let's jump into PA boot, right? Really straightforward stuff. I do like to combine the play action animation with this. And I like to keep this tight end blocked, especially if I have a mobile quarterback, because then I can actually potentially scramble out a little bit if they don't contain. So we're going to let this run through. And he has outside leverage right there, right? And I actually forgot the audible to. That was amazing. I threw it to a completely different receiver. I forgot the audible to cover 3. But you'll see from like a wide alignment right here. And when you pay attention to this defender, he has outside contain, right? So you're not going to be really getting outside the pocket on this. But if he was tucked inside a little bit more, or maybe he got dropped into a zone or manned up somewhere, then you have the ability to run out with the tight end sealing the inside guy. So let's just actually switch to a zone coverage this time. That would be helpful. And so all you do is streak this guy. It's a really straightforward type thing. And actually, you got to motion him out. I'm over here teaching you guys the plays, forgetting the steps. My apologies. It's been a long day at work. So let's go. Cover 3 sky. Utilize that same motion that we talked about. Then you can utilize this motion as well in the run play. It's not going to affect the run blocking. If anything, it'll just make everything look more uniform, right? So now we've got this. As soon as he cuts, it's a really deep corner route. Pretty straightforward stuff. I'm not going to go too much into it. Pay attention to where your opponent's usering, because this crossing route on the backside will eventually go into the space where one of these hook zones left. So like say your opponent is using this and he's running all the way to the corner route. Eventually this crossing route's going to go into the area where he was, and we'll be able to complete that pass pretty easy. You can take the play action out, and by all means. Sometimes I'll do something like this with the wheel route. That's good too against zone coverage, because the wheel route will get in between like the cloud flat and cloud flat and the hook zone, right? So right here, boom, gets underneath, easy completion, right? You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to harp on that too much. So that's pretty much it for the Singleback Bunch. There's a few other cute little flat goal line plays, but I still think the mesh goal line is the best one. There's also, a counter. That counter is risky. If they're blitzing anybody, it actually pulls 2 players. So if they're blitzing anybody, you're going to get blown up in the backfield. It's not worth calling that. And then the zone weak is solid. I still think it's better to run the inside zone split, but whatever floats your boat, really.